how would you like to reach out and attract a steady stream of pre-qualified, pre-endorsed clients or customers for your services or widgets, whatever it is you do? I mean, you see other people on TV, radio, and all other kinds of marketing platforms that don't have the knowledge, the insights, the tools, the products and services that you have. And if you're like me, you are really frustrated. We're here to change this. At Accelerating Entrepreneurial Success, it's all about accelerating your success. And today, I've got a mentor, Paul Colligan, who is just phenomenal. And he was really one of the first guys to let you know how you can own the TV show or the radio show. So you're at the right spot. Stay tuned.
Ordinary success? No way. You want amazing, remarkable, exceptional breakthroughs. Dig deep, think bold, drive hard, watch yourself soar beyond your dreams. AESNation.com.
We are ready to accelerate your success. Paul.
Hey man, how you doing?
Excellent. Paul Colligan, thank you for joining me. The magic of Skype, video, and we're talking about, I kind of did the tease a little bit that we can own the TV show, and we can own the radio shows, or the platform, better yet than the show itself. And you were the first one. Matter of fact, as I'm doing this podcast, I'm not sure whether I should be upset with you or not, but you showed me how to do this, and I've been trying to figure out how to do it, and it became clearer and clearer as you and I got to know each other in some of the mastermind groups, reading your books, having conversations, coaching, and so on. So tell me what you do, and how can our fellow entrepreneurs own their platforms and communicate so they attract that endless stream of clients and customers?
Well, I teach small to medium businesses how to leverage the internet for marketing and sales. I've been doing that since the beginning. And what's funny is I've been doing that for a long time, but new technologies have popped up all the time. It started with web design, actually. Once Ma and Pa was able to get in the world of web design, I taught them how to do that. And then the world of affiliate marketing, where people were able to get an unlimited source of commissioned salespeople, always very cool. And then this podcasting thing popped up. And it blew my mind because, in college, I worked my butt off. I worked my butt off to have a radio show that went on a transmitter, with maybe a 5-mile radius. And I thought it was the coolest thing in the world. I got my FTC license. I did all the things I was supposed to do to reach a 5-mile radius. And then with podcasting, I realized that it was a little bit bigger than that. It was actually the world. And unlike my show, which, let's admit it, was on at 2 o'clock in the morning, I can now have a show anytime, any place, anywhere. And that changed the game for me just dramatically. I knew since day one the thing was going to be huge. Now, what was funny was I wrote the Business Podcasting Bible back in 2006. I recently reread it, and it's fun because, I got everything right. I'm very proud of that book. What's funny is so many new things have happened that make it even more exciting than ever before. But when you speak of 10X, podcasting is 10X from where it was when I was thrilled about it almost a decade ago.
Well, Paul, one of the things I look at, and it's pretty amazing, and I've had a number of businesses along the way, as you have, and one of the big things is trying to increase your reach.
Yeah.
And with today's technology, I mean, the things 2006 was 100 years ago almost, in the sense of, we were talking just as we were getting ready to go on, is, there wasn't an iPhone. I mean,
nope.
I think YouTube was 2005 or something,
Yeah.
The technology, the explosion. And so many of our entrepreneurs, and this is why this is so important. This is why I want to have Paul on. We spend so much time refining our message, getting really good at delivering a great client experience,
Yep.
but we're doing it one-to-one. And Paul,
Yep.
how can we use this technology to be one-to-many?
Well, quite simply, podcasting is the answer to that question. Now, this is an iPhone. This is an iPhone with a battery pack, so it's a little bit thicker than the one, but I tend to use these things all day long, so I need the battery. There are tens of millions of these devices, the iPhone, the iPad, the iPod. All of them go to a place called iTunes, we've heard of it, at apple.com. When they search for the term that you are about, they can find you, and Apple will send people to you. And what's great is not only is it when I'm looking for content on my phone, for my drive to work, for my run, to my visit to the gym, whatever it is I'm doing, I'm also, boy, you talk the world of SEO, I'm also at apple.com. You got a podcast? You got a link from apple.com. So Paul, are you saying that we could take my topic, my expertise, add the word apple.com, search in Google, and find that I've got a link to my website from the company that just did a 7-to-1 stock split today? Yes, that's exactly what you can do, and it's phenomenal. Well, Paul, what if I'm not in the Apple world? Don't worry. It's the Google world as well. It's the Amazon world as well. The thing about podcasting that's so amazing is nobody owns the tech. The tech is out there for anybody to use. So the 7 people left who use BlackBerries, they can get your podcast. The 2 people who bought the Windows Microsoft phone, they can get your podcast, but so can the Android, so can the iDevices. And here's the great thing, whatever's coming in the future as well. You know, our mutual friend, Joe Polish, I was doing a presentation about his podcast, which I'm the executive producer of. And I was just looking at a fun little stat. And so I was looking at downloads, and he was getting downloads from Turkmenistan. Now, I don't know much about that country, so I decided to look up Turkmenistan. Turkmenistan has banned YouTube, has banned Facebook, has banned Twitter, yet Joe's podcast is still getting to the people of Turkmenistan. Now, that is pretty crazy cool. Cost, minimal. You know, Joe asked me the other day, he said, Paul, how come you've never billed me for my bandwidth? Joe, because the number isn't big enough for me to waste the time on that.
I was talking with Joe the other day, and I don't know if I know the number exactly, and I know he would be comfortable us sharing. What are the rough download numbers he's having now?
You're looking at over 100,000 downloads.
Yeah, I mean, so the thing, and you know, I mean, this is where Joe started this as kind of a fun project.
Yeah.
And Paul led the charge. And Paul, when I asked Joe and I asked Dan Sullivan, another mutual friend, who should I call? And they immediately say, you got to call Paul Colligan, because he's not, you know, what you want to always do is work with people who have actually walked the walk before you. And when Joe started sharing the numbers and the impact, and you know, I've watched Joe's businesses really grow dramatically, his mastermind group, which you and I are both in. And it's exciting to see. And that's where, you know, that's why I wanted to bring Paul on, is that this is not something that only a marketing guru or an expert can do. This is really, maybe Paul, one of the things you've had the privilege of working with and know a lot of entrepreneurs. What are some of the diversity of people that are doing podcasts right now?
One of my favorite podcast stories ever, and I'm sad that the podcast is dead. It actually succeeded. I knew an entrepreneur who said, okay, I need to find an industry where there's repeat sales. You know, I want something where they're literally burning the inventory. You know what I mean? And so he got into the scented candles business because, you know, every month they light the candle. They sent, this guy was like clockwork, and it was amazing. And he built the business, and he did really well. And then he sold the business. But one of the things that was great was he did the Timeless Candles podcast. It was talk about candles. Now, John, I cannot think of anything that would bore me more than talk about candles. But the people who love this stuff, they want to talk about candles. And so he had several episodes, the wicker candle, the blah, blah candle, the this candle, and people were going to the website. They were going, oh, people who love candles as much as I do, I'm going to subscribe to the podcast. And it did 2 things. A, it brought in clients, but B, it made his mail order candle business significantly more valuable than the other mail order candle businesses, and he was able to sell the thing at a premium. So, you know, if the world of scented candles deserves a podcast, you know, you do as well. 47 million Americans buy themselves in their car 30 minutes to and from work each day. They all have, you know, a topic. They all have a fascination. They all have an obsession. And if you told them on the way to work you can listen about that, they're going to want to. My bookkeeper, 10-minute podcast once a week, things to think about this week to keep you, to keep the taxes going well. Podcast I listen to, and what happens is we move away from, in the old model of the broadcast station that I spoke to earlier. I'm like, what in the world am I going to do where there's enough people in the 5-mile radius of the weak antenna to actually do something? But now that I have the world, and I don't just have the world, I have the world whenever the world wants to listen. Again, my show is at 2 o'clock in the morning. If you weren't listening at 2 o'clock in the morning, you couldn't listen to my show. Now the great thing is you can listen to my show whenever you want, on whatever device you want, on the terms that you want. Most podcast clients have a thing where you can go 1.5 speed, 2 speed, 3 speed. So if you're one of these speed listeners, you can do that as well. And it's phenomenal. And what's great is if you do it right, and this is the thing I'm proudest about the 10X Talk podcast. Episode 1 is as good today as it was the day they recorded it. We designed it to build on content that could exist for a long time, what we call in the industry evergreen. And every day there are people downloading episode 1. A friend of mine has a podcast, has been doing it for 7 years, and there is no 7 years of podcasting. There's no week goes by where people didn't download episode 1. Let me ask you this, entrepreneur. How would you like to create a piece of content that is being downloaded by a new audience 7 years later?
Well, and what I love about it, and let's go to this, is cost. I mean, you think, if I go out and buy a TV station or a radio station, the value, they've gone down a bit, so they're a little easier to do, but we're talking many millions of dollars. How about this? What do we need to do this?
Your laptop and about $5 a month. Really is the bargain basement. Get yourself a good microphone. But the microphone I'm chatting with you on right now is a sub $100 microphone. The camera that I'm speaking to you on right now costs me about $120. The lights, about 200, but this is a bigger deal. It's cost very, very, very little to get in the game. There's actually a podcasting hosting platform called Libsyn. Great guys, good friends of mine. Libsyn doesn't charge you for how much bandwidth you do. They charge you for how much shows you store with them. So Paul, are you saying that I could pay $5 a month for an audio podcast that gets downloaded by the entire world and I don't have an additional fee? Yeah. Pay the $3 more for the extra reporting, and you might even want to go all the way up to the $20 package so that you can do video and that type of thing. But it is so infinitesimally inexpensive. I have a big program where I teach people to podcast, and it's funny, different people have different debates and whatnot, but everything I do from the editing to the production I teach is all on free software. And is it because I'm a cheapskate? Sure, there's some cheap elements in me, but it's because the free software is perfectly fine for what's out there.
And I'm kind of, like probably some of the other successful entrepreneurs, I bought the expensive stuff, and even buying the expensive stuff is a couple grand. I mean, so in the whole scheme of things, it's really nothing. And so, I mean, you can own your station.
I got to interrupt here because
Go ahead.
I'm working on a report that I'm going to release soon. And I figured out how to do the computer, the camera, and the microphone. The computer, the camera, and the microphone, 1080p high definition, total price under $500.
Yeah, it is, so it's no longer, I mean, I'm using sophisticated switching equipment here, which you can buy for $500 now. So, which used to cost at least 20 grand to do what I'm doing a couple of years ago. So this, the world's changed like crazy. Now, Paul, you are at the top of this group. We're talking to fellow entrepreneurs. One of the things I want to do, I'm going to do a quick segment here.
Okay.
And I call it Life Intrudes, and that none of us get out unscarred. Tell me kind of one of the times that you really got hit as an entrepreneur, and typically out of that, we bounce back. And I've seen you get knocked down a little bit, nothing big, but I've seen you just rally. And give me one of those moments.
Well, it was funny. When I started with podcasting, I actually thought it was going to be more like the whole digital book on tape world than it was more the radio world. And so the very first thing I did, the second podcasting caught on, I spent a great deal of money building a premium podcasting platform, a podcast platform where you pay to receive the content. And it worked flawlessly. It was wonderful. My customers loved it, all 4 of them. And
your mom wasn't in with you now, was
exactly. And the fact of the matter is, podcasting is primarily a free distribution medium that you use to bring people into higher level products and higher level services. Joe distributes the 10X Talk podcast to bring people into his 25K mastermind that you and I are both part of. And the great thing is because podcasting is kind of the general consensus is that it's free. The idea of paying for one goes past people. But what's great is where I was thinking $9.99 a month, $19.99 a month for certain podcasts, I'm now seeing people who are charging, for $25,000 masterminds and that type of thing as a result of their free podcasts. So I built the tech. I went crazy. We actually did 2 different versions of it, did a lot of marketing for it, did a lot of pavement pounding for it, and lost a lot of money on it. But it was just this slice that I thought podcasting was going to go, not podcasting
Well,
at all.
and what was the lesson learned, on that?
The lesson learned was it's what your audience wants. It's not what you want your audience to
And
want.
I think it's really important. I mean, sometimes we get caught up in our own excitement. I mean, Paul and I are both high energy guys. We go out and do it. And one of the key things is to fail quickly. I mean, I've done it. Everybody, if you're an entrepreneur, you've failed. Maybe not quickly, but most of it, the quicker you can fail. If it's going to be a bad idea, let the market tell you. And then, what I love about Paul is Paul then just let the market tell him, and now, is making it happen with the market.
Yeah. And, I emailed, literally, it was 9 customers who were using it. I emailed all 9 of them and said, guys, this was the dream. It didn't work. You need to find new models. They well, aren't you going to keep it? Nope. Experiment done, money spent, time to move on.
Okay, tell me let me play a segment. What are you passionate about now? I mean, you're working on a whole bunch of things. Every time you and I get together, it's we're both so excited about our new thing, and that new thing is not the shiny new thing. The market's telling us now, and you're delivering the good. What are you excited about now?
I'm excited about helping anybody with a message expand their reach. That's what all my professional career has been about. And I love entrepreneurs because I'm one of them. We eat, sleep, breathe, and live differently than everybody else. So when I can help an entrepreneur expand their reach, it's even cooler. And, my big motto, we've been going with different mission statements and stuff. My mission statement now is 4 words: expand, reach, leverage, tech. That's it. That's the totality of it. So the author who wants to expand reach, done. The entrepreneur who wants to expand reach, done. Mm-hmm. The politician. My degree was actually in political science. I have a bachelor's degree in political science from the University of California, Santa Barbara. And, the politician who wants to expand reach. So it's 4 words: expand, reach, leverage, tech. The most exciting way to do that right now really is podcasting. I love YouTube. I love Amazon. I love some of these other distribution models. And there's the whole world of multicasting, which is another conversation.
Yeah, we're not going to go there because we could do 10 hours together on that, Paul.
but that's part of it. And I just love the fact that somebody with a message, if the message is good, they can expand their reach by leveraging the tech.
Yeah, and I mean, that's what I do want to just, because this is important, what Paul just said. He calls it multicasting. And I think, when you're creating content like for a podcast and you're getting the message out, there's so many other platforms and channels that you can leverage this on that,
expand reach, leverage tech.
Yeah, and we could go into the ebooks, and Paul was one of the first to show me how to convert this kind of content into ebooks, and it's just been phenomenal. So let me go, though, to the segment on App of the Day. So you got a smartphone there. You already waved yours around. I got mine over here too. What's an application that your fellow entrepreneurs you want to share that they could get some value out of?
Oh man, have you seen Drafts?
I don't even know that one.
Oh man, Drafts is a game changer. Now, as entrepreneurs, we think of things fast, okay? Drafts is a program. You open it up, and when you open it up, it opens up a screen where it's just an empty draft. There it is. Time to type, okay? And so what you do is all of your ideas as they come through, you just put them into drafts, one after another. You can use voice, you can use whatever you want. But then built into Drafts is an engine that can send what you wrote to anything that you might be using. So let's say I'm thinking of something that needs to go out by Twitter. From Drafts, I can send it to Twitter, one click. From drafts, I can send it as a text message to my wife, one click. From drafts, I can send it to an Evernote list, one click. From drafts, I can send it to a paper I've been writing inside a byword, one click. So what drafts is, it's the place to get my mind. It's the David Allen inbox, if you will. But then from there, you can program all these rules and just make it happen, everything. So drafts is open all day long. You can even tie it into Siri if you want. So you can actually remind me to X while you're driving around town, that type of thing. So then I have all these ideas, and then I send that to Evernote, send that to the web, send that to Twitter, send that to Facebook, send that to my task management, send that one to my wife, send that one to my kid. And it's an amazing program.
Is it drafts quickly captures notes?
Yep, drafts from Agile.
Yeah, let me
Tortoise.
just flash it up real quick then. And from Agile Tortoise, and it looks really cool. I will download it right after we finish the podcast here. Tell me, I want, because you do so well this, Paul, I want you to go one more app. I have been with you where you're making presentations and you record the presentations on an app from your phone. What are you doing? How are you recording that and then using that over and over again?
There are a number of great audio recording programs out there, and they're on the iPhone, they're on the Android, they are on even BlackBerry and Windows has them as well. And the great thing is you want to record what's called uncompressed audio. And this is very, very important, so just look for one that does that. On the iPhone, and this actually works on Android as well, there's a product called Auphonic, A-U-P-H-O-N-I-C. Auphonic is a whole system that ties into it, but they have a great app on the front end that works with both. I have a podcast called Thinking Out Loud. It's the podcast where I think out loud, because as the entrepreneur, it keeps going. I will be driving in the car. I will put my earbud. I will click the record button. I will record a podcast using Auphonic. I will upload it immediately using Auphonic, and I will publish it using Auphonic. And it's a great, great, great tool.
And you can always go to our website for the links on this, but let me put up that landing page too. And I just found that to be a great use. But I want to go to, we're going quick. What about let me play the book of the day. Is there a book for your fellow entrepreneurs?
This one's an oldie but a goodie, but if someone is going to be entering into this world, there's a book called The Clue Train Manifesto. Are you familiar with it?
I am not.
The Clue Train Manifesto is absolutely phenomenal. It's mind-blowing, but the basic concept of the Clue Train Manifesto is that markets are conversations. We're back to the marketplace now. And the thing is now, if I want to know about a company, I don't just want to go to the store and buy the product. I want to converse with somebody. This is why Apple is doing so incredibly well with their Apple stores. You want to meet a genius. You want to talk to somebody. You want somebody to walk you through it. That's why events such as what John's doing are just the wave of the future, because you want to interact with people. And Clue Train's about 10 years old. So some of the tech is not necessarily there, but the basic understanding that they have of where the world is and where the world's going is just mind-blowing. And the title comes from everybody, hey, get on the Clue Train. And this is a manifesto, and there's some moments where it's a bit rambling, but it is just mind-blowingly cool, and just it is the future. I recommend it highly.
Well, it's what I love is we can just go download it too. And
yeah.
I'm gonna go the one insight. So one last segment here of the entrepreneurial insight of the day, Paul. And what would, you're working with so many top entrepreneurs. We hang out together with a lot of people. You're coaching guys like me and others. What can we share with entrepreneurs to make this easy, this transition?
Never create content for a single publication. It's part of what we hinted to multicasting, which is essentially create once, publish everywhere. If all you're doing is a podcast, you're missing out. It should be a podcast. It should be a video podcast. So everything John and I are doing here could be done on audio as well. It should be some sort of written word, be it a published book, be it an electronic book, be it a blog post. Anytime you create content, it should be done for as many platforms as possible. And what that does for the entrepreneur, we love leverage, we love scale. And if we're doing just an event, it's just the people in the room. But if we record the event, then it's anybody who listens by podcast. If we record the event on video, we can put it on YouTube. If we record the event live, we can broadcast it via YouTube, have a backup on YouTube, have a video podcast, have an audio podcast, get the thing transcribed. From the transcription, have a blog post, have a Kindle post, have the thing in iBooks. Now you can create once and get it everywhere. And the nugget, I know you wanted one thing take home. Never create content for only one platform anymore. Even if you don't know how to get it to the other platforms yet, when you do something, think, should I maybe put on a coat, run the video camera instead of just talking in the microphone? Should I maybe make this a media piece instead of an article and then have somebody come in? You're the one who taught me, John. You need to be the author, but you don't need to be the writer, which is huge. No media for a single publication point anymore. Think multicasting.
No, that is, I just want to make sure everybody got this, because this is big, as Paul's saying, really what I'm doing here, we're recording it on video, Paul, as you know, and then we're going to strip out, in essence, the audio, so it'll be a video and audio podcast, and you could be listening or viewing it, but we'll be posting a whole bunch of different places. We're using a service, rev.com, to do the transcriptions. It's going to special reports, all this. And it's this amazing process, and it's out there. And it really, one, I want to get the word out of Paul and what he's doing. And then also to further our enlightened self-interest at Accelerating Entrepreneurial Success, aesnation.com. That's really where the value collectively is. And no matter what you are marketing, whether you're selling $1 million pieces of equipment, software where the average application is $50,000 a year annual, getting this message out, or it's selling books. This all works, Paul. You worked on a lot of those campaigns.
Yep.
Well, let me play back the key takeaways, and I need some help here.
Okay.
So key takeaways, I've got 3, but I didn't get the last one that I think is the most important. I didn't get it all there, so I'm gonna have you repeat. So number 1, what I like is using new technology, but I wanna just, I'm gonna do a little editorial here, which I know you do, is there's a difference between what I call technology cool and business cool.
Okay.
Technology cool is stuff guys like Paul and I and others get excited about. Business cool is we get even more excited about, Paul, now as we've gotten a little older, because we can see how to monetize it, to help our clients, to help ourselves and our enlightened self-interest, to get that message out so we can inspire clients and customers to take action to better themselves. So,
and that's my whole expand, reach, leverage tech. Just leveraging tech, who cares? Expand, reach, leverage tech. Now we're talking. That's business cool, to use your words there, John.
Well, and let's go. That was my next point, and I didn't have all 4. So I'm going to have you say it a little slower. I'm going to write it down.
No problem.
Expand, reach,
leverage tech.
I just want to go over that for a second, because I think this is the big takeaway. Expand. Instead of marketing one-to-one, we've got so many people that are working with agencies and doing some of the old-fashioned stuff. And boy, it's not because Apple's a nice guy that they want to work with Paul and I and you. They need content, everyone. And this is, if you can provide that, they're going to give you this unbelievable platform. Expand, reach with good content, leverage. Boy, I don't know how many $1 million pieces of equipment we're going to sell in the stand countries. But, it is the cost, that incremental cost of getting it over there is worth the entertainment. And it just, just so much value there. And then the technology, leveraging, the internet is such a great facilitator for all of us. So, expand, reach, leverage, tech. Great, Paul. The one other thing, and it's really incorporated, I wrote down, was the one-to-many. This, once you do it, it's kind of two-prong attack you talked about. One is getting the message out through your whole process, but the other is that multicasting that we can repurpose it in a whole bunch of other venues, and that's just huge.
Yeah, and what's amazing is repurposing is not new. Repurposing has been a thing for content providers for a long time, but the ease of repurposing now is what's so phenomenal. You mentioned rev.com. I love these guys as well. I don't know if you've done this, and if you haven't, I'm sure when we hang up this recording, you'll ask me how. But I've automated the rev process. The second a file's done, it automatically goes to rev. They automatically do the transcript. I don't have to order it. I don't have to tell them to make it. It's automatically done. And as a result, I get my transcript back usually before I'm even done publishing the thing. And it's one less email, it's one less thing. But what happens is because it's so easy to do, putting something on Kindle is incredibly easy to do. Putting something on YouTube is incredibly easy to do. Putting something on podcasting is incredibly easy to do. So it's not just make a CD out of this so that you can put this on the shelf in case somebody comes by one day. It's make a podcast out of this so that the billions, next year, John, there are going to be more phones than people. Okay, let me say that again. Next year, there are going to be more phones than people because so many people have multiple phones for multiple reasons.
And there's 7 billion people, so that's a lot of phones.
Exactly. So this isn't about making a CD and putting it on your shelf and hoping one day you might be able to sell it. This is putting your content online so that those 7 billion devices have access to it. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, no,
and that's not just tech cool. That's business cool.
Yeah, and it really is, and you know, and we can segment, and you know, my primary business is coaching top financial advisors. The ability to segment in today's technology is huge. No matter what your marketplace is, you can do that. Paul, let me go. The last segment is resources, and I've got your website up. What kind of resources do you have here? And it's at paulcolligan.com.
Probably the best, most original thing at paulcolligan.com is paulcolligan.com/tools. I'm always asked, what microphone do you like? What camera do you like? That type of thing. That's there. My blog, boy, that's a whole nother episode. That's a whole nother conversation. My blog is actually what we call a content timeline. And it's my best content from Facebook. It's my best content from Twitter. It's my best content from podcasting and YouTube. And that all comes back and does that. But you can keep up to date with what's going on there. And it's a fun place to go.
Yeah, I'm looking at it, Paul, and I put it up on the screen, the tools. And I got to tell you, that is a great toolbox. So I forgot about that. So that's, you know, for resources, definitely go there. You can check out the other apps that Paul and I talked about at AESnation.com, and we have everything there. We have the transcription that rev.com will have completed a few minutes after we get done here, and all of these. Paul, any last words before we sign off?
You can do this. You know, okay, Paul's the big geek. He's been doing this for decades. The automation and the capabilities now are phenomenal. And if it's something you don't want to take on, there are people who play at this stuff, who absolutely love to do this stuff. You know, there are things like Fiverr, there are things like people per hour. You know, there are ways for you to get your content out. So if the tech, you know, it's leverage tech, not use the tech. Leverage tech might be hire a 14-year-old. Leverage the tech might be set up that automation process that Paul was talking about with rev.com. You don't have to do it. You just have to leverage it.
And I think that's great. And, you know, for those of you who don't know me well yet, I have a virtual company with no employees. I'm a big leverage kind of person, and
yep.
I'm comfortable with technology, but I'm not a real knowledgeable technology person, a good user. And boy, it is a time to become a good user. You have a message, get it out there. Attract that steady stream of pre-qualified, pre-endorsed clients or customers for your business. You owe it to them to do it. So let's go out and make it happen. Paul, thanks again for joining us here
thank you, John.
At Accelerating Entrepreneurial Success.
All right, man.
Exceptional, remarkable breakthroughs. AESnation.com.